RMJ movie reviews back again. Alright, now I'm coming with goodness, I don't remember what number. I guess it's my third Black History Month movie review. I'm actually heading on my way out to the gym, so I'm in proper attire or whatever, you know, looking like I stepped out of movie colors. But yeah, I told you all it's gonna be Purple Rain, starring Prince, the man himself. This is actually the 2-disc special edition DVD I bought a couple years ago. You know, goodness, 20th anniversary, but this is long past that. So what year did this come out? Well, I know Purple Rain came out in 1984. This came out in 2004? Yeah, I guess 2004. Damn, this is an old DVD. Okay. Either way, Purple Rain is a complete classic. You know, like I always say 150,000 times on my channel, is I always relate certain movies and entertainment, all that kind of stuff, to where I was at my life at the time. And at that time, I believe I was really young, so I don't actually remember when the film was out of the theater. But I do remember the film when it actually came to cable, because I had older siblings who, at the time, like I said, they were teenagers. I was like 4 or 5 years old, and Purple Rain, they used to constantly watch Purple Rain all the time, all the time. Matter of fact, I remember my older brother, who he used to listen to a lot at that time, was like Run DMC and LL Cool J were the ones I remember the most. And Prince, he actually had the record. Prince, he literally had a record. Prince, the big giant records, if there's anybody out here who remembers those. But yes, I am old enough to remember records. And I remember how they used to try to scratch and go Richard, 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 and all that kind of stuff. So Purple Rain was always on constant rerun in my house, and I remember the film pretty fondly. I'd never actually seen it all the way through until once I got older, till I was like a teenager, early 20s. I had actually sat and watched it all the way through. And, you know, this is just the quintessential, I think that's the word, quintessential, whatever, I got the word wrong. This is the template of when a musical artist makes a film. Now, some people could make the argument that Purple Rain is kind of really more of an elongated music video. I would say a lot of that is true, but it also is like a movie. So it's not really a musical, because yes, they do have musical montages. I can't remember how many there actually are, but that's pretty typical to an 80s film. You know, that was just a creative aesthetic at that time. You know, and it's used very well here. One of the things, of course, we got to talk about the music. Basically, Purple Rain the movie plays Purple Rain the soundtrack. I mean, this movie is a visual version of the Purple Rain soundtrack. And what I now noticed in watching the film now is that every single song is plugged into an emotional moment of the film that the characters are actually literally going through in the story. I really like that part of the movie. The second part I liked is that this thing, the parts where they're actually in the club, because Prince plays the kid. His father was a former, you know, musician like him. He fell on hard times. They don't really explain it. And now his dad basically spends his spare time getting drunk and slapping his mom around the house. You know, obviously Prince, the kid, is dealing with that. He's dealing with his own creativity and issues, because he's at this kind of not dance club, but it's a music club that puts on acts in their local town. And, you know, they're not feeling him because he's really kind of like weird, and he does his own thing, and he's very, very emotional with his music. So everybody's not really understanding where this cat is coming from. But he really believes in himself, and he puts a lot of his personal demons into his music. That's how he expresses himself. That's very much how Prince acts in this film. You know, he kind of does a lot of the Bruce Lee, Jet Li action hero kind of acting, where it's all just kind of inside, and he emotes it through certain looks and stuff. And in that respect, I really think that Prince's acting in that respect is very good. Now, once he actually starts saying dialogue, of course, it's stilted, but 90% of this cast, I'd probably say 95%, 90% of this cast are non-actors. So, of course, the acting is stilted. Of course, the line readings are odd. But that's okay because the music and the cinematography in this thing is beautiful. On a majority of the scenes, like that, the music concert parts in the club in this movie are shot directly like music concerts of the 80s, which is you have that really strong lighting, really strong purples, really strong red. There's always very strong lighting in this movie, and I love that look. I just love it. And Prince is perfectly photographed. Him and Apollonia are perfectly photographed when they're like, one of my favorite scenes is, as many in this film, because I love this film, is them riding the motorbike through the woods. And that's what I really like, is when they're in the real world, it looks like the real world. But when they're in this kind of musical environment, that's when you get these strong colors and the lightings and stuff. And everybody's got the crazy, trippy MTV kind of makeup going on and stuff. The eyeliner, the guys are wearing the eyeliners just like the girls, and of course, like the girls are wearing outfits that are basically lingerie that you'd probably wear for somebody right before you make love to them. You know, I mean, that's just part of like 80s aesthetic. I mean, that was how they did that stuff. You know, Cyndi Lauper and all them used to have that kind of look. And you know, Prince is a weird cat. But what I love about his characters in this movie is he goes after the girl. The girl, Apollonia, she's trying to pursue her own music dreams. Now, it says at one point in the film that she's 19. It says it on her little card that she auditions for the guy at the club. I do not for 1 second believe this woman is 19. She is in no way a teenager. If anything, I'd say 26 or 25. You know, she's got to be pushing 30. But either way, doesn't matter. She's fine. Who's fine? Her or Vanity? I don't know, but it's a very close tie, I'd probably say. Morris Day, who I remember his songs very, very strongly from that time. And you know, the little, oh, we, oh, we, oh. I remember I used to always sing that song when I was a really little kid, so I remember that very strongly. And you know, Morris, there's a lot of overacting going on in this movie, especially like when Prince is distressed. He kind of does this little and he goes back and forth and the camera catches him like that, and it just is terrible. But that's okay because he's a good musical artist. And Morris Day kind of does the overacting of Jerome, you know, and all that kind of whole thing. And he kind of goes, I would like to tell you how fine you are. And he kind of bucks his eyes. And, you know, he's a trip. He's a performer. Overacting all over the place, but that's what adds to the charm of Purple Rain. And of course, we have a real genuine actor who pops up out of this. Clarence Williams III himself from Tales from the Hood, Against the Wall, Deep Cover, The Mod Squad, tons of classic movies. I mean, he really, he doesn't have that much screen time. He plays Prince's dad, who I was terrified of this man when I saw this movie when I was a kid. You know, him yelling at his wife, what's the matter? Don't I keep the heat on? You know, and all that. Clarence Williams III, he always pushes it and gives it 110%. With his small amount of screen time, he makes a very big impact. Matter of fact, anybody who knows me personally, he reminds me of my father's father. He kind of looks exactly like him a little bit. Grandpa. Not making funny, I'm just saying. But he makes a very good impact. I love all the scenes where he's knocking his wife around because it's so overly 80s melodramatic, like something you would have saw like on a after school 80s special back then. It's fantastic. It's great. And it's just Purple Rain is an absolute utter classic. I would go so far as to say it's a beautiful film. I really do think it's a beautiful film. Not the stilted acting and the overacting, but really just, I mean, Prince, he is a musical genius. And this film is a perfect springboard for that entire album. I actually own Purple Rain. It's on a CD. But I own the CD, and it's just a fantastic. It's great. I love the entire album. I love this entire movie. anybody who was a teenager at that time, or anybody who was alive and old enough to even remember how big Prince and Michael Jackson were in the 80s. I mean, this is just the template. It's fantastic from top to bottom. I know one of my subscribers said I always say fantastic. I can't help myself. I just have to use it. I have to use that word when there's stuff that I really like, and I love Purple Rain. Great movie. I guess if I have to choose a favorite song from the soundtrack, my personal favorite, I mean, of course, we know you got When Doves Cries, of course, Purple Rain, I Would Die For You. But I'd probably say my personal favorite, the one that I love, is I love Darling Nikki. Darling Nikki is just such a filthy little dirty song. And when Prince hits that note and he goes, I can't do his scream, but it's just, nobody can do it like Prince. Prince is a unique specimen in his own. He's weird, but I guess that's what you could give Prince his credit for, is the fact that he's so out there. And that's what's always funny is when I watch this movie, is how like he gets this fine chick and it's like, but this dude is so weird. He's like 5'5" and he wears like woman's heels and he kind of dresses like a girl, but he likes chicks. It's so weird, but I guess you gotta give him credit, because that's probably what women like about a guy like that, is the fact that he's willing to just be himself. He is who he is. He's this strange character with inner turmoil, but he is who he is. That's Prince for you. The guy's a fantastic artist. One thing I caught in retrospect in watching the movie, and now aside from the beautiful musical performances and the beautiful lighting and the beautiful songs and all of that, is there's a little undercurrent of misogyny in this movie. But then again, you know, that's the subplot of Prince dealing with his abusive home life with him and his father and all that. So he's got hang-ups with his relationships with women, and there's an undercurrent of, you know, female abuse throughout the movie, which is intentional. And then there's also just the aesthetic of how women were treated in music in the 80s, which they were kind of, there was a misogynistic tone that was intentional and unintentional in this film. I think in particular, two scenes that I thought were nasty, that aren't the abuse scenes of beating the mom, but really is just, which they're not really beatings, it's just like a slap and a couple scuffles. But I think it's when Apollonia jumps into the river. I kind of particularly, and he drives off. He comes back and picks her up. I kind of thought that was a little cruel, a little nasty, I thought. And I think it's where Jerome takes the girl and dumps her in a garbage can. I thought that was very nasty. So there's a little bit of unintentional misogyny here outside of the subplot of the movie. But, you know, it was the early mid-'80s, you know. It was a politically incorrect time, over access. You know, everything was excessive, you know, and Purple Rain is definitely excessive. But that's what we love about Prince. That's what we love about his songs. And the songs are just very passionate. I had never actually thoroughly listened to what the lyrics in Purple Rain. It's a very, very, very passionate song, man. Prince definitely put 110% of his heart into the writing of those songs. What else could be said? It's great. It is a great movie. It is a staple of anybody who loves the 80s. Quick comparison. Is it better than Moonwalker? I'd probably say yeah. Can't really compare it to Thriller, because Thriller is not a feature length like this one. It's just a longer music video. But of course, if I had to compare Purple Rain and Thriller, I mean, Thriller's better in my personal opinion. But you got John Landis directing that too. But if we compare just Purple Rain to Moonwalker, I definitely say Purple Rain is better than Moonwalker. Moonwalker might have a bigger budget and better special effects, but Moonwalker is kind of clunky and all over the place. I still love it, but it's not as, it doesn't have as linear a story as Purple Rain does. I never saw the sequel, Graffiti Bridge. Actually, excuse me, I saw pieces of it. I didn't particularly care for it. It didn't feel as grounded as this film. And Under the Cherry Moon, I never even knew that existed until like I saw it on Cinemax back in like 96 or 95, and I couldn't finish it. I don't know. Somebody can leave some comments below about Graffiti Bridge and Under the Cherry Moon. But I think Graffiti Bridge was Prince's last foray into film acting, which is probably a good thing. You know, he's a good artist. That's pretty much all I got to say about Purple Rain. It's great. It's great. It's great. Cheesy acting aside, you know, it's fantastic. Thumbs up my video. Subscribe to my channel. Share the video. And leave comments down below. Let's talk about Purple Rain. Let's talk about Prince. Let's talk about Apollonia. Let's talk about the 80s aesthetic. Let's talk about the music. Now, my next Black History Month movie review is going to be one of my personal childhood classics, The Golden Child, starring the once great Eddie Murphy himself. RMJ Movie Reviews. I will see you all soon.